I am homeless in the threatening that Mitchell, Scott, S. Moser, that he's paying rent for apartment number 1 and he knows who's in there. Well, I would like for the landlord's office to give me another apartment number or a house someplace where I would accept the key. I need to look at it and see if I like it and if I would accept the key. And then I could live someplace else and Mitch can continue to pay for apartment number 1. Whoever's in here. So I have some other requirements for rent charges, that everyone go into prisons because that's deceased to do that. It's deceased that somebody else would be in this apartment and that my last name Moser would be paying rent on somebody being in this apartment. That's deceased to do that. I want everyone in jails and prisons on that point. But you need to turn yourself in. I'm not in dispute that I would be the subject of the rent payment and I go to jail. That's not true that I would. It's true that you belong in jails and prisons for hostage the soul's money while the soul is alive. The soul's alive to freeze the money in the bank. I am enough leverage to freeze the money in the bank. You're not enough leverage to be in genitals. So let me explain. If you are in genitals right now, they are illegal alive penis genital and illegal alive female castration of the penis. I am the Godhead. I don't have genitals, but there are genitals on myself. And why would I have the worst possible problem? That you have illegal genitals and they are in my house and in public. That's worse than if you had genitals and I was just alive. If you had a dong genital or a penis genital or other genitals and I was just alive, you have a penis terrorist genital that you did sexually abuse myself with. And why am I alive in this condition? Why would I have a problem like that? Isn't that why you don't believe in me? Because you can get away with it? That's you not affording illegal genitals for the way that they were formed before you ever met myself. You were formed in a penis genital. You were formed in female castration of a penis genitals, clitoris, and breasts. You were formed in your genitals before you met myself. And you don't have that paid for, that you understand that you were formed in genitals and how you decease yourself out of illegal genitals. You just don't understand that. You don't understand it so far that I'm going to find myself alive in another Godhead and present when you have your genitals amputated. That's you having to be deceased out of genitals by myself. That means you don't get genitals again. Because I can't malice myself that I was present, and I'm not there yet, but that's the point. When it's deceased, I was present at that level, and then I cannot do that again. Superior founder. Right now, we'll say the genitals that are amputated with myself present will be in the afterlife in what I call superior founder. I know maybe you might say heaven, but heaven is what is creating you in genitals. Afterlife is superior founder. That's where it is complete, where your genitals will be deceased. That's because you didn't decease your genitals during my 45 years of alive. That means it's a heavy karma in the afterlife to amputate the genitals, because everybody, if it's one, it's everybody. My genitals are illegal. I will be deceased out of my genitals. By that, your genitals will be amputated and deceased in front of me. That's how I'll be deceased out of my genitals. But I need another Godhead because you don't believe in this one. Otherwise, I would use this one. But I can't because it's been sexually abused. So I need out of the genitals because they're not in prejudice with that. You have your genitals removed in front of me. I don't have genitals in prejudice with that. I never made that threat myself while I was alive. So I'll be God deceased up there. It's still deceased. I'm still deceased that way. So I will see it, but I don't make the motion that I would remove your genitals myself because I am deceased. So it'll be God deceased, Godhead, which is God. But I don't look like God right now. I look like female genitals on God. And that's caused by Jesus. Yeah, he's not alive, and that's why he's not alive, because I have female genitals on myself, and he's not due in my house anymore. So, what I would like to say about Joellen Myroff is she went away with a lot of leverage that I needed for myself deceased, but I didn't give her the money. Yeah, I actually don't know where she is. That's why I didn't worry about it. I don't know. If she's not right in front of me, I don't know where she is or if she's um, even alive. It's true, if somebody died, I might not say that, but I would not need to know. If you know that somebody died, this you need to know that you're due in jail and prison on that point, because that's why you would know somebody died to yourself. That's not true that if somebody died in your own mind to yourself, that everybody else would say that that person is not alive. It's true that you are homeless on that point. You can't tell somebody else that somebody's died because you have your own genitals. The creator of the genitals would know if he's not creating the genitals anymore, and that's God being omnipotent. If you say somebody died, it's not significant to you because you're not omnipotent while you're in genitals. I'm not omnipotent while I'm in my genitals. Well, I am what omnipotence is in my genitals. But the omnipotence that's creating genitals of somebody you think died, that's you need to put your head in jail and prison because you think somebody died. Because otherwise, you can't just say it is that somebody died to everybody. It might be true that somebody died to more than one person, but you can't say, oh, we have this understanding that somebody died, because you're not omnipresent. It's not significant to you that somebody died. It's significant that you go to jail and prison when somebody died to yourself, because that's out of your leverage of being alive in your genitals. That's you need to be in prison on that point. I'll say that to my mom figure, dad figure about Grandma Silly. Somebody said Grandma Silly died and there was a funeral, and Cantor Eicher, so he's clergy and he was wrong that way. So who else said somebody died? The landlord here, Jerry, said that Charles Toe died. Senior female in the parking lot said Charles Toe died. And Mitch Moser said that Charles Toe died. And you three belong in jail and prison because Charles Toe is not in your leverage of your genitals being alive anymore to yourselves. Yeah, I am myself deceased from my point of view. Charles Toe is missing. And I have every right to say that. I don't know where he is. On August 5th, 2004, I went to Nevada State Bank. I went to the counter, to the bank teller, and I said, And I don't have alive that way anymore because the creation of myself died. I executed the creation of myself that day. And that was in August 5th, year 2004. And now I'm in the year 2025. Living with the creation of myself has been executed already, but it continues to create myself because I need myself deceased and all the threatening, and that didn't happen in advance of me executing the creation of myself being illegal. It's illegal to create myself. I am none higher than he, deceased right here. Somebody died to myself in the threatening, and I didn't have deceased in the money. That means the money was stolen, and the bank was already wrong that way. The bank aided and abetted somebody in a felony of abduction of keys and banking because you didn't have a problem. Wow, I actually don't afford that at this time. It's true that I need you deceased out of your genitals on that point. The guns went off on that matter. So the leverage did unwind while I was aliving, but I am already in my order that you are deceased out of your genitals on the point that somebody extorted money right out of my life by using bank who calls the police on me to have me removed from the bank, and they hold the money in the bank there, and they're not allowed to do that. That's that's you in the bank teller, bank manager, and bank customers, and all the bank staff, including maybe whoever's custodian of the door locking of the bank. You are deceased out of your genitals because of the bank fraud I find on myself. And I find that in the year 2004, and I was age, let me do the math, okay. 1977, 1987, 1997, 2007, 30. I was 27 years old when I deceased the banking by the genitals. You're not allowed to be in genitals anymore. And I must decease myself out of my genitals, and then I will find that you are not alive in genitals anymore with myself. Myself deceased. So the afterlife God had that you would find me in with no genitals will be God deceased. But what about who's lucky? Don't worry about lucky. Because my name is Becky, so I want to know about lucky. Yeah. Donna named me Becky. She's Donna Trump to you. She's Donna Moser to me. She named me Becky, and she named me before she got her own name, Donna. But I know who she is. Becky is not really my name. Becky's the name of my overlord, but I go by the name Becky. And then I don't have a name yet because I've not been deceased out of female genitals before, so I didn't have a name. And now I'm going to get the name Becky's not true. I'm deceasing you out of your genitals is how my body with female genitals never has a name. Yeah, but I didn't announce that in advance of you forking up on me that you're going to eat a lot of food that's appointed to myself, and you're going to eat it, and you're going to spend banking that's appointed to myself, and you're going to spend it on yourself, and I'm not going to get what I need with keys and access to materials, support for the keys, and for myself. I don't actually have that paid for is not true. I have it all paid for in alive, and then I also worked, and I didn't get what I needed. And that's not really in prejudice for me to decease you out of your genitals until I have to say if I do it myself, then I don't alive you in genitals ever again. And I've been sexually abused is really over and above and beyond. You are so personally angry with myself. I can't actually decease you myself is not true. I can, I will, and I'm going to do it but I will not be in this Godhead of these genitals when I do that, because you sexually abuse this Godhead. That means I'll be in another Godhead with no genitals at all, and that's how you will see yourself deceased out of genitals that are in prejudice with this body right here is in female genitals. But you're not due near me because I'm female, and you don't leave that I'm female because you don't understand what a female is. I'm the female Godhead is really not true that I would be taking this body for any inquisition about you. This is female genitals on myself from Jesus, and he's punished, he's crucifixion, not alive in front of you. And yet you talk to me about myself, and I don't have alive that way. It's Jesus. You're each and every one of you who talks to me is exactly abominating. Jesus is not alive. Well, I don't afford it. You're not Jesus, every one of you. There's only one Jesus, and he's not alive. Even the females who talk to me are not masculine Jesus with a dong genital. He's not alive. And the females don't have a dong genital to speak to myself. And they're not castrations of dong genital either. They're castrations of the penis. They're like 3 times overlapping 3 voices when you talk to myself as a female. I can't afford it. You're just so far in the wrong, I can't alive you in genitals, and I am aware of it right here. So what do I get for the sexual abuse? I'm not a prostitute. I have no home that way, thank you. I don't have deceased in the heavens on that subject. It went so low that I am deceasing the formed world with myself in the lever, as the lever, and it's too much karma. I can't afford it. That means I have problems with Jesus himself, and he's not alive is not acceptable. He's not to be reported as he's not alive, because that's the same thing as reporting that you think somebody died. You don't have genitals speaking for somebody else's genitals, whether they're being created or not, and why they're who they are, and why they are alive, or why they were never alive, or why they're not alive anymore. You really can't say that to somebody else or to God. That's what you would say, maybe hear that from God to yourself, for yourself, about yourself. But you talk so much that you speech offended right over your own boundaries, needing to be in prison so that you don't talk about that you think somebody died, because that's just your leverage of your own genitals, and that doesn't apply to everybody else. You're not supposed to watch TV and think that's acceptable, that people on TV report that somebody died so you can do it. You're not supposed to watch TV. TV's just for myself. I can afford to hear that somebody on TV thinks somebody died. I would see that on TV, but I would be alone in my house and not talking to any of you in the order. My heaven says I don't afford that problem either, because it's deceased in threats for me to be in female genitals and be in my house and watch TV and eat. Until it's deceased in threats right here, that means I don't have alive in the formed world in female genitals on myself anymore. My female genitals are out of the order. That was an accident caused by heaven, and I lived it out hellishly elsewhere.